nature, and you're more resilient in this index. So if your index number happens to come out to be anywhere between 1 to 44, then you're in the very good category. That's like excellent then. Let's put it like that. Since we talked about excellent, good, fair, poor, and bad credit, then that puts you excellent if you're 1 to 44. And this whole scale only runs 1 to 99, right? So then in the moderate category, moderately, maybe you might have an issue when there's an economic issue going on in the country. Those numbers are 45 to 59. So if your number happens to fall between 45 and 59, then they consider you moderate. So you got moderate people. So let's equate moderate. They're not excellent, right? So let's equate them to good credit people. So you're moderate, 45 to 59. Then 60 to 69, it says you're sensitive. It means you're sensitive to the economic downturns that are happening in the country as we go. So whether that's a depression, massive layoffs, things of that nature, you're sensitive to that. 60 to 69, if your number comes out there, you're sensitive to it, which means you're more likely to go ahead and miss a payment, default on a loan, things of that nature. And then 70 to 99, which would be our bad and poor credit people, you're very sensitive. You're very sensitive to economic downturns. Extremely sensitive. So if we look at it right now in this particular pandemic that we're going through, the people that would say are very sensitive are individuals that can't go to work because of whatever. Government said everything's shut down. Maybe you work at a restaurant and you're a server. Restaurants were shut down and whatnot. These people are very sensitive because they don't have any money, any income coming in. Now, what if they got, unemployment? Then it kept them afloat, right? If they got unemployment, government helped out, gave an additional $600 for unemployment and whatnot. So possibly they did help out. So, but typically speaking, people that would be very sensitive, at least in my mind, are people that would have the 70 to 99 number, are people that work in those kind of industries, fast food industries, things of that nature. Also gig workers. So if your main job was working for Uber and Lyft, then you may have had an issue at this point in time because people weren't going anywhere or not as much as they were for months on end. So that makes it that makes you very sensitive to the economic downturn that we've had. So those are the kinds of people that are. Now, if we jump back up to the most resilient people, these, in my mind, these are people that have salaried positions, people that were able to work from home, all those Zoom call people that are Zooming all of the time or whatever. So they're working from home, they're still getting paid. Those individuals may be more resilient when it comes to it. Now, if you happen to be the manager at a fast food place, and your fast food place, maybe that place was shut down for a week or 2 weeks, but then boom, they were back open, at least with drive-through and whatnot. So you were still working and you were still getting paid. So you don't have to be the executive type. You don't have to be the salesperson type that's able to do Zoom calls and things of that nature to be more resilient. Maybe that person that works at the fast food place, that was continually working at the fast food place, they may be perfectly fine because they were able to work. So individuals that are able to work and they're not beholden to what's going on in the country, maybe those individuals are individuals that end up being more resilient, if you will. So again, it runs from 1 to 99, and the lower your score, the better. Not like your regular FICO score, where the higher the better. This sensitivity index, it runs 1 to 99, and the lower that score is for you, the better it is for you. So then the question becomes, how does this impact you at all? Like, okay, so what does that mean to me, and do I need to worry about it? Well, let's see. What does it mean? What does it mean to me? So with this particular resilience index, here's what it should mean to you. What it means is that it's another it's another thing that lenders can look at to help decide if they're going to grant you credit or not. Now, some of the time, these things can help you, and some of the times, frankly, these things can hurt you. It's not really something that they can just pick and choose on. Like I was just talking about particular industries, fast food industry versus executives and things of that nature. It's not necessarily something that they can pick and choose on, but this index will help them, if you will. So of course, FICO's saying it's going to help banks decide how much or if they should give you any money, things of that nature. Lenders also may decide if you're already a customer of theirs. I told you guys last week, I think about, one of my credit cards attempting to lower my limits. So if my index, according to them, if my index was higher in this scenario, then they may decide, no, we don't want to give Kevin a higher limit, or they may decide we do want to reduce it because this index that has come out. Now, here's something that you don't have to worry about today or tomorrow or right away. The index is rolling out. I didn't see anything in my research regarding say like institutions, lending institutions, whether it be a bank, credit card company, credit union, whatever it is, actually getting it and how they're supposed to get it, or are they supposed to pay for it from FICO? And everything FICO does, people, banks and stuff pay for. They pay for that information. FICO collects that information. The banks and TransUnions and everybody, they pay to get that information from them. FICO moves from FICO 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. Then the banking institutions, they all pay for those things, which is why some of them are still stuck on FICO 7 because they don't want to invest the money to go to FICO 8, FICO 9, FICO 10. Just like when you decide my iPhone 6 works perfectly fine, I don't need the 11. I don't need the 10XYZ. I don't need all that stuff. So some banks, some institutions, they feel that way as well. So I didn't see any word on how this index is going to roll out to the banking institutions so they can start to use it in their lending practices. And so it's going to be some time before they start using this index for you or frankly against you. So it's going to be possible that you have a 747 as a FICO score, but your index could be high. So this new index could be, you could have you can be in the, what do we call it? You could be in the very sensitive part, which is going to be 70 to 99. Say it's 75. But you worked so hard to get to this good score, this 747 score that you have, but your index could be very sensitive, and you can have a 75. Now the bank can decide, well, you know what? The risk of you having an issue. What if you're in an industry, and this is where they might use it against you or use it to really make a difference for them in their decision making? What if you're in an industry that is directly linked to how the economy is going to go? If you're in that gig industry, if there's a recession or a depression, that portion may not hurt the gig industry because people still need to get around. They're going somewhere. But what if you're in construction? What if you're in construction? Nobody's buying homes, nobody's building buildings anymore, things of that nature, and you're in construction, but you've got a good credit score, but your occupation makes you sensitive to what's going on in the economy. So you may have that kind of thing. If you are not even, you may not be in construction, but you could be part-time or full-time house flipper. So you use money all the time. You're used to, your bank accounts they got big money in it, and then some days there's hardly any money in it. Just because you're moving money around, you're buying stuff, you're getting paid in big lump sums at one point in time. But if a recession hits and nobody's buying homes, then that's going to hurt you. Your industry is extremely tied to the economy when it comes to that. Your industry may not be so much tied to the economy if you work at Starbucks. It may not be as tied to the economy. Yes, will Starbucks, not make as much money if there's a recession because people aren't going in and, getting their $5 lattes every day? Yes, but that's Starbucks. But they still need workers. So they're going to still pay your $10 an hour or whatever it is, because Starbucks actually pays well from what I hear. Chicago just went to $14 an hour. $14 an hour in Chicago now. Law just passed, and not just passed, but went into effect on July the 1st. So things happen that are tied to the economy that may be out of your hands, right? It's out of your hands. You still pay your bills on time. You keep low balances. You do all of these things. All of these things, these 5 pillars, you have them down pack. These 5 pillars, and then something happens to the economy, and what if your index says that you're sensitive to that? So then that could be used against you. It could absolutely be used against you when it comes to those things. So I don't want to say it's a bad thing or if it's a good thing, but it's absolutely something that we need to be watching out for and looking out for, simply because it could go either way. Frankly, it can go either way for you. So I, myself, would be highly ticked off if I went to my bank or my credit union and said, I want to do something. I don't care what it is. I want to buy a boat. I want to buy a jet ski. I want to buy a snowblower. I don't care what it is, even though it's July. I want to buy a snowblower and I want to buy some jet skis. I don't care what it is. And they tell me that no, we're going to have to deny you because your index, because of your FICO index. It's hard if I work, as long as I've maintained this 847, 839 credit score, and you're going to tell me some newly made up FICO sensitivity index, resilience index is going to stop me from getting whatever it is that I wanted. I would be highly ticked off. So, of course, it's going to help some people. It's going to hurt some people. There are absolutely going to be pros and cons to it, depending on the lending institution and what their focus is. If they're in the mode of we need to protect all the capital we have, then they're going to use whatever they can against consumers to not lend them money or make up a reason for their interest rates to be even higher. If it's a different lending institution and they're trying to grab as many customers as they can, and they're going to take people that are on the cusp and they're looking for individuals to give money to. They're sitting on stacks and stacks of money because nobody's coming in and borrowing, and they're trying to give this money away. Then they're going to use everything that they can to help you with that. You might have a 605 credit score, but then they'll look and say, hey, look, boss, check this out. Their index though is a 2. A 2 index means that they're more resilient in times of economic downturn. It's an economic downturn right now, but they're going to be perfectly fine. We can lend them money. As a matter of fact, we can lend them more money than we would have lent them before, because according to this new index, they're actually going to pay it back. They're going to pay this money back because they're not tied to what's going on out in the economy right now. So it can help. It can hurt. There are pros. There are cons. And after a while, I don't even think 2 weeks is enough. But let's see how this works out. And then, of course, I'll come back with a better opinion on how it works out for or against us, the consumers. I do need to say this too about the resilience index. So when it comes to this index in itself, it doesn't say how you can get it, so you can see what your own index is. So we know we can get our Vantage score. We know we can get our FICO score. Now this index, it doesn't say how it's available, how you can see your own resilience index number. And they're saying that they will come up with that. Eventually, you'll be able to get it eventually. However, we don't know at this point. Who knows if it'll be free, if it'll cost you money to get it done. It costs you to get your FICO score right. And this is coming directly from FICO. So potentially, it's going to cost you some money. So we don't know just yet. However, since we don't know just